Hello, everyone. It's Tuesday. It's the latest edition of Betting Weekly Game Bet Match, the #1 tennis betting podcast brought to you in association with Bet Rivers, your hometown sportsbook. I'm Nigel Seeley. And as I was at the end of last week, I'm joining on my own, going solo. There's no Sean Calvert today. He's still away on holiday. Looking ahead to today's matches. So matches on Tuesday in Brisbane, in Australia, in the ATP Tour 250 event, and over in Hong Kong as well. We haven't looked at the Hong Kong event, so I'm going to give you some thoughts on the Hong Kong event as well. But the breaking news today was the performance from Rafa Nadal this morning. Absolutely rolled back the years. Brilliant performance, really. I was very worried about his performance. I didn't think he would be able to come back and show that kind of intensity and that kind of determination. And he didn't look off the pace at all. Really impressed with Rafa today. He beat Dominic Thiem 7-5, 6-1. It proved quite a costly match for me. I took a bit of plus 175 on Dominic Thiem and then I pressed again in play. But when he took that first set, he broke Dominic Thiem, whose team was serving at 5-6, broke him to 7-5 and then ran away with the second set. So Rafa Nadal really made it a statement win this morning against Thiem. And, you know, I said he was a fade for the tournament. I still think he is a fade for the tournament. I'm hoping, I don't think he can maintain that kind of level straight away. I mean, we know he's a genius. We know he's come back from injuries. We know he's come back with problems before, but to be able to sustain that event and win this tournament will be a massive achievement, as I said. But on the flip side of that, the draw's massively opened up. I mean, we've lost Sebastian Korda. We've lost Ben Shelton. We've lost one of my tips, Karatsev. So it's been a tournament for shocks, for underdogs have done well in round one. And Rafa hasn't really got much to beat, you know. I mean, if he was fit, he would be a lot lower than the odds. Or sorry, if he was Rafa at his peak, not fit, we think he's fit. But if it was Rafa at his peak, he would be a lot lower than the odds that we see here. Just to give you, I'm going to come on to the outright market in Brisbane in a second. But before I do that, I'm just going to give you a little bit of update from Bet Rivers on Rafa Nadal to win the Australian Open, which starts in just under 2 weeks now. Nadal's been cut from 20-1 to 14-1 with Bet Rivers to win the Australian Open. That is the best price in the land. People are running scared of Rafa. Okay, he might be able to do it in the best of 3 sets here after a year off, but in the best of 5, in the heat, in the conditions, I wouldn't bet him at 14-1, certainly not. Novak Djokovic come through a little bit of a scare as well, lost against Lehecka at the United Cup. He is the even money favourite at Bet Rivers, and obviously Carlos Alcaraz is 3-1, and Yannick Sinner is 6-1. But Rafa, he's made a statement win. He's 14-1 now to win the Australian Open. Would I have been betting that? I wouldn't be betting that, but Bet Rivers are running for cover. And if you want to bet Rafa to win the Australian Open and win another major championship, that is the best price available in the land. Anyway, that's a couple of weeks away. We'll be previewing that here on the Betting Weekly studios on Betting Weekly Game Bet Match with myself and Sean Calvert. So we're looking forward to that over the next couple of weeks. It's all about now, and it's Brisbane now. So let's have a look at the tournament and how that Rafa win and some of the big shocks we've seen in the tournament so far have reflected on the outright odds. And Rafa Nadal has gone from plus 480 with Bet Rivers to the plus 225 favourite to win here in Brisbane. The number 2 seed Grigor Dimitrov is plus 350. Holger Rune, the pre-tournament favourite, he's plus 350 as well. Safin is $6. We have I can't read my writing there. We'll come back to that. Popperin is 20. Oh, Humbert 11-1. He's my pick to win it. Popperin is 20-1. We have Machak 25-1, Shevchenko 28-1, Arnaldi 20-1 as well, Thompson 28-1, and Lucas Klein at 20-1. And the reason I'm putting Lucas Klein in the betting there is because I had a dream last night or the night before that Lucas Klein won this event. So if you think fate, you think listen to dreams, Lucas Klein at 28-1 could be an interest here. I've also dreamt over the years. I've slept with Pamela Anderson, and but that's never come to fruition. But Lucas Klein at 28-1 could be the bet there. Let's have a reflection on the draw. Rafa now plays Kubler, who beat Karatsev. We thought it could be Karatsev. Karatsev was injured after the set 2 as 1 set all, and Kubler come through. Kubler's serve will give Rafa problems, but I can't see Kubler beating Rafa on the evidence of what I saw today. And if you were thinking about Rafa at his peak, you know, in a tournament like this with the caliber of opposition, you'd probably be looking at Rafa to win this around about minus 150. He's plus 225, and I know that's going to tempt many bettors out there, and a lot of people are looking for the fairy tale ending. I want to fade him, and I think he's probably the value to fade him. But looking at the draw, I don't see many people who can beat him. I think Holger Rune can beat him, but other than that, I don't see where he's going to get beat. So I still want to bet him at plus 225, and I still continue the fact that to come back from a tournament, have a year off, and win a tournament like this is going to take a monster effort. And we were impressed this morning with him, but I think it was more Dominic Thiem not playing so well, in particularly in the second set when he lost that, he lost his serve at 5-6 in set one. He completely went. So let's be a little bit more cautious about Rafa Nadal. Great to see him back, but at plus 225, he wouldn't be carrying my money. The man who is carrying my money is Hugo Humbert, 11-1. He was my pick at the start. He's still waiting to play his first round match. He's up against Michelsen, the big serving American. Not even started yet because there's been all kinds of problems with the weather in Brisbane, and that's going to play a big factor now from now until the end of the tournament. There's thunderstorms and rain predicted pretty much every single day of this week and into next week as well. So this tournament is going to be affected heavily by the bad weather that's hitting Australia there. So that is something to take into consideration. Look at the weather factor here. As far as the speed of the court is concerned, the speed has been very good. It's very quick. My two picks that did cash for us was a tiebreak in the Karatsev-Kubler match, which happened in set number 2, and the tiebreak in another match, which I can't remember off the top of my head. But we gave 2 tiebreaks, and both of them came cash. So we had 2 bets, 2 tiebreak winners, which was pretty good for us as well. What was the tiebreak match I had? I'm looking through the results here. Safalin Shelton. That was it. Tiebreak in that, and that also happened in set number 2, where Shelton took the second set 7-6, but lost the match 6-3 in a third set. So we're going to look at 3 matches here in Brisbane for today. And the first match we're going to concentrate on is the match involving our tournament pick, Hugo Humbert. He's up against Michelsen. As I said, it's a big serving American. Michelsen is going to be a danger on these courts. He's come through 2 qualifying matches in pretty easy fashion. He beat Diego Schwartzman very, very convincingly. But he's up against the big left-hander server in Hugo Humbert. And I think the strategy in this one has to be, again, for total games. On the money line, Humbert is minus 215. Michelsen is plus 170. The spread is 2.5. We have Humbert giving up 2.5 at minus 134. And Michelsen receiving 2.5 at plus 105. And the total here is 22.5. This will be the first time the two of them are met. And this match is scheduled to start at 8 p.m. today. So it's Tuesday today, the 2nd of January, 8 p.m. this evening. Head to the Bet Rivers website. There is about 30 different markets available on this match. Where do we go with here? I'm going to look at 2 big servers. Humbert, I think, is going to have a breakthrough year. I think he's going to break. He's top 20 now. I think he can go even higher in the world. I like him for this tournament. I think he can really go well in fast conditions. So I'm not surprised to see Humbert at minus 215. Would I bet him at minus 215? I certainly wouldn't bet him at minus 215. I think, like the 2 matches that we highlighted in the first show of the year, we've got to look at total games here. 22.5 does seem a little bit generous, with over at minus 120. A lot of the matches we've spoken about in this tournament have been around about 23.5, or 2 of them have been 23.5. I would argue that these 2 are big enough servers to warrant the line to be 23.5. It's not 23, it's 22.5, and I think that is a little bit of value here. But again, I think if you are looking for the way to get with this match, if you don't want to play on the total games, and I know it's a bet that Sean likes a lot, and we've spoken about it many times, his strategy and how you should bet when you consider 2 big servers. I think a tiebreak in the match, which is cash for us in the first 2 matches, and they weren't official picks, obviously, because I need my partner in crime here to give me the official picks. But they were leans, they were suggestions. And I think the tiebreak in this match, again, at plus 115 is a nice price. Set 1 to be a tiebreak is plus 325. We've been hitting the woodwork with the set 1 tiebreaks. That both of the matches we predicted have come in set 2. But, at plus 325, you can do a lot worse than that. So I'm going to go for a total number of tiebreaks here, over a half. So 1 tiebreak in the match at plus 115. The conditions are fast. They may have to move it indoors. I think that'll make it even quicker. And obviously with the weather factor, just be a little bit careful with the timings of the schedules here. But I do think this match here could be a long one. So Similar angles to where we were in the matches we spoke about early part of the week. So yeah, over 22.5 at -120 or a tiebreak here at +115. And I do think the value is probably more in the better odds on a tiebreak in the match at +115 than take the lower -120 on the over 22.5. I would expect Humbert to come through. I know Michelsen has done well here to get through 2 qualifying matches, but Michelsen was awful at the next gen. He didn't win a match, and Humbert is in at the end of last season on the best form of the year. He won in Metz. I think it was his hometown in Metz. He won that tournament, Shevchenko, and I think this is a winnable match for Humbert. But I think the first set will be tight, and I think the Frenchman will come through. I'm looking at something like a 7-6, 6-4 kind of victory, brings in 3 on the handicap. That kind of result that I would see for Humbert. I wouldn't bet 2 sets to love, but I do think the first set will be quite cagey. I do think the tiebreak here represents some money. There has been some money for the Frenchman on the money line with Bet Rivers. He's down to now 215 from an opener of -195. And Michelsen here, +170, not in the greatest of form, but he will cause problems with his serve because he is a big server. So Humbert against Michelsen, we've got an interest in that as well. From an outright perspective, we want Humbert to win to get us through to the last 16. Hasn't got through. One of the only first round matches. Shows you how much we're going into Wednesday, and they haven't played an outright match yet. Sorry, a first round match yet. So it shows you the schedules might be a problem here. But I'm going to say Humbert to win. But I think the best bet is over 12.5 games over 12 tiebreak in start again, Nigel. You're having a bit of a nightmare. A tiebreak in the match at +115. So over half tiebreak in the match between Michelsen and Humbert. Okay, let's move on to our second match we are going to preview. And that involves a local player, a bit of a journeyman, a player that I've bet many times over the years. And he's actually done me well. I think we've spoken about James Duckworth before on this show with Sean. And Duckworth is a player here who's up against Yannick Hanfmann. Now, Duckworth is available at -109. Hanfmann is -113. This is a match that starts at 9:20 this evening, local time, Eastern time, in this match here. The handicap here is, or the spread is 1.5. Duckworth giving up 1.5 is -148. Hanfmann +1.5 is, +114. And the total is 22.5. So over 22.5 is -127, and under 22.5 is +108. I'm quite surprised by the line here. Duckworth is 116 in the world. I know he's come through 2 qualifying matches, played well, beat Barrère, beat JJ Wolf in round 1, but JJ Wolf had a terrible off day. But Hanfmann is a player moving up the rankings very, very quickly. Hanfmann is number 51 in the world, so he's 49, 59, 65 places above Duckworth in the world rankings. He produced a brilliant performance to beat Sebastian in round 1 here. And they played twice before, and Hanfmann has won them both. The first met in Singapore in 2021, and it was a 6-2, 6-4 win for Hanfmann. And they met in 2023, last year in Shanghai, and Hanfmann won 6-4, 6-7, 6-3. Now, for that match in Shanghai, Hanfmann started here at -$2, which I think is about the price he should be here today. James Duckworth today is -113, and James Duckworth is -109. So it's a pick and match. I can understand why there's a little bit more support for Duckworth. It's a home event for the Aussie. We've seen Australians do well in round 1 so far. They got a big support in Brisbane. But Hanfmann is a player that I think is very underrated here. If we look at their career stats on the hard courts, last year Hanfmann was 6-8, but that was in a real good quality of opponent. He played in the big events, like the US Open, Miami, Australian Open, Adelaide. He played in big tournaments. Duckworth was 43-21, but a lot of that was in challengers. So, I think this is a big step up in class for Duckworth here to play at Hanfmann. And I think Hanfmann at -113 is the wrong price. Like I say, -$2 when they met before at the end of last year in Shanghai. And Hanfmann is just on the back of an exceptionally good win against Korda, where he's beaten Sebastian Korda 7-5, 6-4. So Hanfmann gets the nod here at -113. I think that's a nice price. Again, I'm not going to put it down as an official bet because this is Sean's part of the show, and I don't want to give picks without Sean being here to either talk me into it or talk me against it. So I'm not going to do that, but it's entirely up to you. But that's the argument to make for Hanfmann, and I think Hanfmann at -113 is a decent price. Let's move on to the final match we're going to speak about. It's 5 a.m. Eastern time, Wednesday morning, and it is between the number 1 seed, Holger Rune, and Shevchenko. Now, Holger Rune was, he was stretched. He was pushed against Max Purcell in round 1. He comes through 2-1, but he wasn't convincing. I know he won 6-2 in the final set, but he lost the opening set 6-4 against Purcell. Another Aussie with good support here. And he's up against Shevchenko, who I thought was exceptional against Van Asch in round 1 here. If you look at the stats, they're really, really impressive. And it was a 6-3, 6-2 win for Shevchenko. Shevchenko is up to a career high 48 in the world rankings, the Russian. And I think he's going to be a player to be on side in 2024. I think he's going to have a breakthrough year. Holger Rune, I expect good things from as well. But, is he looking ahead at the Australian Open rather than just kind of coming here and just trying to get some games under his belt? I think this is a tough match for Holger Rune here. The odds do not reflect that. Holger Rune is -360. Shevchenko is +270. The total is 21.5. But the bet here I like is Shevchenko +3.5 games at +114. Rune giving up 3.5 games is -148. I like that bet. I think Shevchenko will give Holger Rune some problems. I think it's probably a little bit too quick for the Dane. I think in an ideal world, he'd like a little bit slower. I think the quicker, the better for Shevchenko. So I quite like that. Other ways to get with Shevchenko to win set 1, +195. Shevchenko to win at least a set, -106 with Bet Rivers. Head across there, 28 different markets available in this match. But I don't think this is going to be as easy as the betting suggests on the outright on the money line here. -360 isn't something that would even tempt me to bet this with Sean Calvert's money, let alone my own money. So I think this is going to be a struggle. Not saying Holger Rune won't get through, but I think Shevchenko +3.5 is an angle, or Shevchenko to win the opening set would be an angle. So there's a couple of ways to fade Holger Rune there. But I think that they might. I wasn't impressed with him in round 1. He's got a new coach. He's got a new team around him. You thought he would have come out the traps firing. He didn't play very well against Purcell and got it all together in the decider. But at -360, that's certainly not a bet that I will want to have. So they're the 3 matches that I'm going to talk about in Brisbane. Humbert against Michelsen. We want Humbert to go through for our outright pick, my pick on the outright market. I'm confident he wins, and I'm going to go for that match. I think a tie-break in the match is the way to go. Duckworth against Hanfmann. I can't believe the price on Hanfmann at -113. I think he should be way, way, way lower than that. I think that's a decent price. And Holger Rune against Shevchenko. I think Shevchenko gives the Dane all kinds of problems, and I think there's a multitude of different ways we can attack this match. I think the best one would be to with Shevchenko +3.5, or take Shevchenko to win a set or the opening set. Now, there is another tournament going on over in Hong Kong. We never mentioned that tournament in the preview. We gave a preview of Brisbane, but there is a Hong Kong, an ATP Tour 250 event in Hong Kong. And look at the draw here. I'll give you the draw. At the top half of the draw, Andrei Rublev is the number 1 seed. He's in the last 16 against the Brit, Liam Brody, Hustler and Fils, Tiafoe, Kekmanovic. Tiafoe is the number 3 seed. Van der Sandschap and Zhang. So that makes up the top quarter of the draw. Struff against Ofner, Batista against Serendulu, Mazzetti, Kotov, and Ruzavara, Kachanov. So if you're looking at the top half of the draw, if this goes to seedings, we're looking at a semi-final between Rublev and Tiafoe. And in the bottom half of the draw, we're looking at probably Serendulu against Kachanov. But there's obviously Struff in that half and Mazzetti in that half as well. And in the top half, Artur Fils. And really, other than that, not really much in the top half of the draw. So the top half of the draw is a lot weaker than the bottom half of the draw, I would say. The bottom half of the draw is quite difficult to go through. And these are the odds currently with Bet Rivers to win the tournament in Hong Kong. Andrei Rublev is the favourite, the number 1 seed. He's 2-1. Francis Tiafoe had a great start last year. The American, I think the race for an American number 1 this year is going to be a real interesting one. Fritz is obviously on a decline. Tiafoe can kick on to another level. Shelton coming through. Corda has obviously got the potential. So I think the American players will be playing against each other to see who can end the year of the American number 1. I think it's a very interesting market. And Bet Rivers, get that up. get that market up. Who'll be the American number 1 at the end of the year? So Francis Tiafoe is number 3, so he's 6-1. Kachanov is 6-1. Artur Fields is 7-1. Batista Agut 11. Jan-Lennard Struff 12. Musetti 12. Kekmanovic 12. And then we go into 14-1. Botic van der Sandschulp. And Ruzavori as well is at 14-1. It looks a tough draw to predict. I'm not going to give you any outright winners at all because I think this is a difficult one. The conditions aren't as fast as Brisbane. They're quick, but not as fast as Brisbane. I don't think there's any player in the draw that I would like to bet with them with anyone's money at this stage of the year. I think there's question marks about every person in the field. So from an outright perspective, it would be a tournament that I probably wouldn't want to get involved in. But there's a match tomorrow in Hong Kong, and it's going to get the time of this. It's Jan-Lennard Struff up against Ofner. Now, Struff is a player that we've bet so many times here on this particular market. And it starts at 1 a.m. on the 4th. So we've got a couple of days on this one. But I want to get it in nice and early before we speak to you tomorrow. Jan-Lennard Struff has got an unbelievable record in tie breaks. He's up against Ofner here today. How he got in a couple of days, how he got through Struff, I really don't know. I mean, he played against Marian Cilic, who I think he had 8 match points, was absolutely devastating, and he didn't get them over the line. But Struff won, lost the first set 3-6, and he won 7-6, 7-6. So 2 tie breaks in the Struff match. Like I say, Struff is renowned for tie breaks, and his opponent, Ofner, is on the back of a very, very good performance this morning. I don't think, he's up to 43 in the world, Ofner. He's his highest ever ranking. But he absolutely dismantled McDonald, the American Mackenzie McDonald. He absolutely dismantled him 6-1, 6-2. So both of these players are playing really well to start the year with. Struff has had a bit of injury problems last year, but he ended pretty well. He's got a new fresh start. We know how dangerous his serve is, and I think this is a real close match to call. And the odds reflect that. -127 for Struff, +102 for Ofner. The handicap or the spread here is +1.5. Struff receiving 1.5 is +102. Ofner giving up is -130. The total, no surprise at all to me here to see the total here at 23.5 with over -103. I think this is going to be a really long match. And tie breaks go hand in hand with Struff. And a tie break in the match here is -103. Now, that to me represents great value. I really like that bet. Go through Struff's matches and see how many tie breaks he plays. He's a tie break machine. We haven't got any odds yet on the first set to be a tie break. Let's have a look. I wish we do. A first set tie break is +290. So +290 for a first set tie break. But so many times when we've bet the first set tie break, it's come in the second or the third, and we've got the idea right, but we've left the money behind. So I just think to get a -106 for a tie break in the match, -103, sorry, a tie break in the match, I think that's tremendous value. So I'm going to bet Struff against Ofner to be a tie break in the match at -103. Now, that's a couple of days away. It's not till the early hours of Thursday morning, I think it is. But I think that's a bet we need to get in now because I expect that line to go. So that's it for me today. It's Tuesday. It's the 2nd of January. And there's a couple of leans. So there's going to be a recap of the leans. Today, 8 p.m., Humbert Michelsen tie break in the match. I like that anytime. In the second match, at 9:20 this evening, Hanfmann to beat Duckworth. And then in Hong Kong, on Thursday, Ofner Struff. Struff's record on tie breaks is off the charts. Another tie break in that match at -103. Hope you enjoyed this. I'm sorry I haven't got Sean here to sort of bounce some stuff off me, but I seem to be on my own, and obviously it's quite difficult sometimes to speak to 22 minutes and not have a pause and go on about your thoughts and stuff. So hopefully you've enjoyed these stuff, and hopefully you're cashing some tickets as well. I'll be back again tomorrow on Wednesday to look ahead to Thursday's action, or maybe even Wednesday night's action, and in Brisbane and again in Hong Kong. Hopefully we get some more tickets, cashing more tickets. And Sean will be back with me, joining me on Sunday, breaking down the tournaments for the following week. Just a reminder, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, Betting Weekly Studios. Lots of great content on there. The soccer season's really hotting up across Europe, and the Champions League will be get into the business end next month. Some brilliant content on there. You can also follow us on our socials on Instagram and Twitter at Because We Win, and give us a like, review on our YouTube channel as well. It's really, all the comments are great. If they're good or bad, it's great because it sort of, we get a community and we can answer any questions you may have. So if you've got a question for myself or Sean, please fire it across, and we'll do our best to answer that when Sean joins me next week. Thanks very much for watching. Head to the Bet Rivers website. As I say, there's a load of matches on there. There's also a tournament of the United Cup as well, so there's some big matches involved in there. But this is game bet match where we're just looking at those 2 ATP Tour events there. But yeah, that's my leans for today and tomorrow. Have a good day, and I'll catch you all again on Wednesday. We can't remember the days over Christmas, can we? Wednesday. Take care.